and today we're going to go over a few of the Chanel unicorn bags. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to my channel to stay updated with all my future posts, and give this video a like if you love unicorn bags. Let's go over some of the ones I have with me today, and we'll kind of just go over the history of each model and maybe give some of my personal thoughts on them, and then I feel like you can kind of decide for yourself about what your opinion is on these unicorn bags. I can share a little bit of mine just from handling these bags over time and just kind of seeing like how they've progressed in time. So first up, let's look at this all over pearl mini bag. This bag was released in the 19S collection, so that's 2019. And it has a lot of beautiful details. It's very unique, and that's kind of what made it stand out in the first place. They have made a lot of pearl bags before, Chanel. I mean, they're kind of known for like that pearl and tweed look, but this is like kind of the first one that had pearls everywhere. Let me go over this bag really quick. We have pearls everywhere, and these are faux pearls, so they're not real pearls. And then here you have gold hardware. It's kind of like a black and white look. You have little bits of leather, but most of the bag is satin. So the pearls are sewn into this satin fabric, so that's what helps them stay on. And then kind of like bits of exposed areas like this is lambskin. And then same with the chain, the leather woven through the chain, that's also lambskin, but like little bits here around the edges, that is all satin. And then let's take a look inside. Inside you have just like a kind of mini style bag. This is about the same size as the classic mini rectangular, and you have leather lining here, and then inside is the same kind of satin that the pearls are sewn into. That's part of the body. So here's just about how big the bag is. About the same size again as the classic mini rectangular. You have the card. This model still had the card before they were switching over to the microchips. And yeah, I mean, this is a beautiful bag, of course. The next one that I have here is one of the oldest ones that I have today, and it's a vintage model, and this one is known as the Sakura Pink. So the Sakura Pink is named after kind of those sakura cherry blossoms, and it's in pink caviar. It has gold hardware, kind of like that squarish mini bag, vintage style. About the same size as the classic mini square, but it's the vintage version, so it is like a little bit different proportions. This one also has gold hardware, has a little stamp on the hardware saying that it's the 24 karat. So it's the 24 karat gold plated. And here's just kind of like an overall look. I mean, it has like the little pocket here, and then just the turn lock. This one is all leather, and you have like a stitch CC. It's a 9 series bag, and also has the card. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just kind of like a simple flat bag from Chanel, the vintage model. And this one also, I guess, kind of rose to popularity over time, not right away like some of the other ones, because people just really like this pink color. It's kind of sometimes hard to decide and decipher how bags become unicorn bags. But just from kind of what I've seen is that, you know, vintage is a little bit more rare now, especially a good condition vintage. And then this pink is not as common, and you know, the specific shade of pink. So yeah, that's kind of how this one became more popular. Here is the third one that I have to show, and this is the 18S collection, the emerald green, the original emerald green. This is just really beautiful, and it's definitely a bag that has not been repeated by Chanel, and that's what gives it its rareness. This is the only bag that you can get this kind of leather and color and finish in. So if you are really loving this color, then you're gonna have to seek out this specific bag, and that's what makes this a unicorn bag. This one is the classic mini square. However, it also comes in the full line. There's like a wallet on a chain, an O case, the classic medium, I believe jumbo, but like some of them are even more rare. Like I don't think I've ever seen this in real life in a jumbo, but definitely seen it in some of the others. This is one that I've seen like a few times being resold. It has gold hardware, kind of an iridescent sheen to it that's like a very kind of emerald green, but not, this one is not sparkly like some of the newer ones. And also it has kind of more of that classic caviar, whereas some of the newer iridescent collections have more of a finer grain, and that kind of causes the leather to wrinkle more. So this one is why it's kind of more desired. It's kind of more of that original caviar. And then here's just an overall look. It has the back pocket, just like the overall features of the classic mini square. Little flap here, zipper pocket, and then all leather inside as well. The final unicorn bag that I have today is this Chanel 19 Houndstooth beige and black tweed. Okay, so this is in the medium size Chanel 19. And this is kind of became a unicorn bag because it was around the time when this bag first kind of got released. So around COVID times, like 2020. And then this is like one of the first fall collections for this bag. And honestly, like looking at this bag today, I still think it is so beautiful and so unique. And I really do like this kind of color combination. I think it's very timeless and just so beautiful, especially for fall. But you can see that it kind of has like beige and black houndstooth kind of throughout the tweed, and then there are like very fine metallic threads going throughout, so that's what kind of gives it that little bit of shine. And then you have just those classic features of the 19 bag, which is the mixed hardware. You have like matte gold, shiny gold, and then ruthenium and silver. And this one also has bits of beige leather. And you kind of just have that soft structure overall. Inside, you have a kind of canvas lining, and then here's that tweed all throughout here. Now that we've gone over some of the unicorn bags and just kind of their overall features, let's go over some of the pros and cons of each style and bag, and maybe just kind of like some of the pros and cons of owning a unicorn bag. Like, is it truly a unicorn, or is it just hyped up to be something better than it actually is? Let's just take a look and kind of dive deep into each model. Let's just start off with the 19 flap. Of course, like having a unicorn bag, that just doesn't happen overnight. That kind of tends to happen over weeks, months, and I'm seeing that happen kind of more because of social media. Social media and influencers and just people in general picking certain bags and kind of latching onto those ideas of them. That's what drives the value of these bags up so much. People, obviously these are beautiful bags and that's a reason for them gaining popularity, but Chanel releases beautiful bags every season, and how come those aren't as popular as some of these? It just really is kind of random, I guess. I don't know. It's just something we'll never figure out exactly how some become so popular over time and then some just kind of have a hot moment but then die down. These bags, I feel like, kind of are lasting in popularity versus other models that are hot for a season and then, kind of people forget about them, because those are very common. With this bag, it is a tweed model, and just over time, this bag does develop wear, and just like with all of these bags, it kind of develops wear. So that's one of the main cons I would say about having a unicorn bag, and especially having to buy it secondhand. Any of these bags that have been worn or used or even just like handled, they're going to show wear over time. Unless they were truly unused and brand new, they will have wear, and that can kind of make or break the deal of these bags. These bags, what makes them unicorn is that they're rare, and that's what makes them also so expensive. So you end up paying so much money for, unfortunately, a bag that can have wear and it can have like little flaws and stuff. That is something important to keep in mind, and I guess make sure you're okay with, and kind of decide that if you would rather pay and have a super special and unique bag, or you'd maybe rather get something similar but in better condition. Looking at these bags too, they are similar, but you can see kind of how time has paid a toll on these bags. Honestly, looking at them side by side, I would say the older one is in even better condition, but that can just depend on how the previous owner took care of the bag, how it was maintained, and also due to the way it was made. Over time, you know, materials can be different and they can just age differently as well. So that's the thing you never know when buying a bag, is that when you're buying it in the moment, it has like certain characteristics, but then over time it can develop more wear, and you just won't know that until later on. Some of the main wear points for this bag, again, is the tweed. The tweed has developed little pulls. Not sure if you can see. I can kind of give you guys a close-up of that. And then the leather, you know, it can get little spots. And for this bag mainly, I would definitely say the tweed is giving a view of the wear. It is looking a little bit ratty now, and it's still beautiful, and it kind of, you know, is hidden by the design, but I can definitely tell that it's just not as neat, and that there are like little pulls in the fabric, and it's just kind of like little fuzzies coming out. For the all over pearl flap, this one, honestly, to me is just kind of the most disappointing in terms of quality, and it's just kind of crazy because it's also one of the most expensive. So first of all, for a bag like this and for a designer bag, I have a hard time paying for like so many faux pearls. I feel like the pearls should be real, and I mean, that can kind of be debatable. Some people might prefer real pearls, some people might prefer faux pearls, but I feel like real pearls would obviously be much more special and unique. However, that's fine. Maybe they just wanted to, you know, kind of have the same consistent look, which I understand. But the pearls on this bag, the finish tends to wear off on them. If you look very, very close, you can see scratches on every single pearl that has touched something. And that is just kind of disappointing. And of course that would happen probably with real pearls too. But I feel like that's just not like that nice, that it gets scratched up so easily. You can't really tell from about a foot away unless you look super close, but there definitely are quite a few scratches on the pearls, and that just kind of is a little bit disappointing. The other thing about this bag, which I feel like is a design flaw, is that there are so many indents here under the flap from the leather resting on those pearls. I'm not really sure how they would fix it, probably by putting that same satin material here instead of the leather, but I understand this is kind of one of those things that is also debatable. Like, it is beautiful to have the leather here under the flap. However, if it gets dented and kind of damaged from resting on those pearls, like, is that really the best option? That's for you to decide, but that's just something I wanted to point out about this bag. Other than that, no other main issues, just that the pearls kind of tend to wear and show the wear, and then those dents under the flap. For the emerald green, you can unfortunately see that the shape has kind of started sagging over time. This bag is always kept stuffed, so I think that's just part of the structure loss over time. It's kind of leaning towards one side. And you know what? I actually do see this happen a lot with the same kind of style bag, not just this bag in specific, but classic mini squares. I feel like a lot of the time I see that they're kind of crooked, and especially in the flap. So that's like one of the things that is also a little bit disappointing about this model, is just how it tends to sag over time, and I mean, it's not that bad if you're not picky, but that is something that would definitely bother me. As far as the wear on this bag, I feel like that's pretty much it. The corners are actually really clean on this one, and so I feel like it has been maintained well by its owner, but there's not really any way to fix that. And also, I just noticed another thing about this bag, and kind of due to the sagging overall, is just the unevenness of the shape. So like this side sticks out a lot more, like about an inch or so, or half an inch sticks out compared to this side. Like look where the line is ending and then where the bag kind of protrudes. That is also due to the structure of this bag. The Sakura Pink is actually one of the ones with the least amount of flaws, and that's a bit surprising because it's one of the older bags, the oldest bags actually that I have here today, and it has the least amount of flaws. I feel like that kind of goes to show how Chanel's quality has maybe changed a bit over time, and I know a lot of people have the same thoughts about Chanel's quality, is that they're just making so many bags and the quality is maybe not the best. But this one also could have just been maintained better by its owner, or just in general. I mean, it's really hard to say because I've definitely seen bags that are vintage that are in much worse condition and the same style as this, so it just really has so many factors that depend on, you know, keeping this bag in good condition or not. So this one, you can see that the structure is so good and like literally no sagging, so it's probably been kept stuffed very well. The hardware is super shiny and just beautiful, and the color too is just really nice. Like even the quilts are not really losing any puffiness. Like this one is like, I can tell it's just been probably kept like unused for so long, but that's why it's pricey, and this one I feel like is definitely kind of worth it. The only thing I can really point out is that the leather piece where it ends has kind of started lifting, but that's pretty much normal and not really an issue. I'm curious to see what your opinion is on these unicorn bags. Do you guys think they are worth the price for what you get, or is it just another bag? Like, I feel personally that it's just really, for me, not worth the price, but I know that there are definitely collectors, and for them it is 100% worth the price. They are willing to pay, and of course these are all very beautiful bags and they are super unique, but I could just not justify paying for a bag with so much wear, or just like paying that price in general. And honestly, I would probably get a similar look for less. If you really like or have one of these unicorn bags on your wish list, I feel like you have to decide if you will be happy with kind of a similar alternative, or if you will always be chasing that specific bag. Personally, for me, I'm not that hyped up about these bags. I feel like they're just bags, and I see so many, so I can easily find a replacement or something similar that is just as beautiful for me, and that can be a lot less. So you just have to kind of decide for yourself if it's worth it or not. If you do end up buying one of these bags, I feel like, you know, your investment isn't the worst, because you can probably always resell it and get your money back, or it might even go up in value. It can go down. I mean, it's really hard to say, and that's just something, you know, you can never guarantee as well, but that's just with any bag. And I'm sure like when people were purchasing these bags from the store, they just thought, oh, that's like a beautiful bag being released, you know, the new release of this season. And they didn't even have a clue that years from then they would cost like $10,000 or even more. Especially like with this pearl flap, at first it kind of, you know, was like for sale for a normal price from the store. Some people bought it up, they just thought, oh, that's beautiful. Some people even didn't buy it, but then they regretted it because they saw that it became a unicorn bag. But of course then it's too late. But then over time it gained so much popularity and so quickly, And then, you know, it just kind of steadily grew from there. And like over time, it just keeps adding in price because the further away it becomes from the release date, the harder it is to get, and it's just more and more rare. Let me know your thoughts on these bags down below in the comments. I'm curious to see what you think of them and just your overall thoughts. I think that's pretty much all that I have to share about these unicorn bags. Just some overall thoughts, and thank you for coming to this little chit chat with me. That's all for today, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.